Hello. My heart was guided to do a reflection on news that came to my attention early this morning. And the news is about a community called the Takers community. And I believe the founders of this community are known to certain members in our community. And they are Sister Mary Ina and Brother Neville Ina. The two founders of the Takers community. A community whose vision is about selfishness, control, deceit, embroiling the innocent and vulnerable in mind games, and whose function is to continue to live a lie, honouring their heart, embracing hedonism in a pluralistic world. The name Takers, please don't confuse shakers. They are movers and shakers in high places. They come well dressed, usually with the designer label on their garb. And no doubt they have spent a small fortune on their appearance so as to win disciples. Be aware of this community of takers. They exist. They exist in every home, in family, in every village, town, and country across this beautiful world. And they endorse the principles of the Taker community. Take what you can when you can, where you can, and disregard those you take from. Isn't that sad? But yet isn't it true that this concept of an established community called Takers are very much alive and well, and they have many followers. But I know in my heart that they may subscribe to this false ideology and pretend to be law-abiding, spiritually or religiously motivated, and giving the right impression to people for them to activate their mission. How do you recognize this new breed of community called Takers? Very simply, they care about nobody but themselves. They are selfish. They're conniving. They're deceitful. And yet they exert great control and influence, particularly over the vulnerable, elderly parents, grandparents, those in society who've been marginalized, whether it's because of illness, disability, their sexual orientation, or their spiritual beliefs. The makers of the Taker community are people who are loved by God with the same love that you and I are loved, and yet they seem to ignore that promise. They seem to ignore the teachings of the Master Jesus when he said, "Whatever you do for the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you do for me." So where does that beautiful teaching resonate within the heart of the taker community? It doesn't. That's an alien message from an alien planet. And yet such people are alive, well and kicking. And I can speak from personal experience that I have come across members of the taker community, and they command great respect. People are afraid of them. Why? I think it's because they're out and out bullies, and they use bullying tactics to get their own way. But if we truly honor our heart and its simplicity and a spiritual way of living without doing the religious nonsense of the guilt and the mindsets of fear, and we are in service to a God of love, then we know that our hearts would recognize immediately when we come into the presence of this new following called the taker community. We would back off. We would send them love, rather than risk being contaminated by their negativism. We have to hold our brothers and sisters who subscribe to this erroneous philosophy and this cunning way of life. We're guided by God to pray for them. We're guided by our heart to send them love. And yet it is hard when one encounters this within one's own family, one's own blood family, because it creates mayhem, doesn't it? It creates many shadows, smoke screens, where the truth is distorted, where love, selfless love, is corrupted, and where the name of God is a joke. Well, I say to you, if you are a member of the taker community, be careful what you say and do, because the simple law of attraction states that what you put out into the universe, you shall reap it. And if you put out a negative thought, action, that isn't for your highest good, then you need to be careful, because as night follows day, it will bite you on your bum. I would like to use language which is used on a building site, but here I shall refrain. But my heart would guide you to be on your guard against these false prophets, whose only religion is their pocket, their bank balance, and they will seek to destroy any good person by defaming in public and in private, so as to achieve their evil deed. And as St. Francis said, may God reward them with love and blessing. Thank you for listening, and remember the taker community in your prayers.